Welcome, welcome. It's Monday. All right.
What's up, guys?
Woo! It's Monday, February 4th, 2019. Welcome back. And it's Monday after
The Super Bowl.
Whoop, whoop. All right. So now the truth is, do I watch the Super Bowl? Do you watch the Super Bowl?
I watched the Super Bowl.
So I never watch a Super Bowl every year, but every single year there's one thing in the Super Bowl that I always pay attention to. And that is usually the day after the Super Bowl, because I never really care that much about football. I watch all the commercials that aired during the Super Bowl. You always do the same thing?
Well, I see what I do is I'm in and out of watching the Super Bowl, walking in and out of the room. But then if a commercial really catches my attention, that's when I know it's a good one. And those are the ones that I really remember afterwards. So, I can't remember all the commercials I saw, but the ones I do remember, I think were really well done.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about today about the ones that stuck out in our minds, at least. And then we want your feedback. So as you're watching us, send your comments, say whatever.
Tell us what your favorite Super Bowl commercial was.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start with one and then you go. So at least the one that stuck out to me is that, of course, again, I watched them the day afterward. I saw some like at the end of the night. But the one of them that stuck out to me is the Alexa commercials. Now, I don't know if you saw them or if you haven't seen them, you can go on YouTube and pretty much there's a bunch of videos of people showing all the commercials because there's a bunch of people that do this every year. We just want to see the commercials. But the one that stuck out to me is the Alexa commercials. Those particularly were kind of funny, especially in like right now where so many people kind of are following it. So in my mind, so to really break it down real quick, is the commercials that were about all the things, the failed attempts of making Alexa work, I think is what the commercial was about. But it was interesting, and they were talking about, they tried this, they tried that, and these are all failed methods. And it started out with them talking about how they have the Alexa microwave, and someone said, warm up my food, Alexa, and Alexa started warming up the food. So then someone talked about how all these are the failed attempts that nobody knows about of making Alexa work good. So it kind of goes into there was one with a pool. It said, Alexa, play my music or play my song, whatever. The pool starts playing music, but the water is bouncing
You
up.
said the dog one?
Yeah. The dog one is pretty funny. Literally, it's a dog that, and I forget who the star was in that commercial. Crap, I forget his name, but
I think, you just said it.
I said it a while ago.
Yeah.
But essentially, he has his dog. The dog has a collar on that is an Alexa collar. And the dog, every time the dog barks, Alexa says, ordering dog food. Woof! Ordering dog food. Ordering dog food. And he keeps ordering dog food. And the actor's like, no, I'm not ordering. I'm not paying for this. And then he said, you need to stop because I'm not paying for any of this. Then he says, ordering gravy. The dog is literally ordering a bunch of things. And then he gets a huge pallet delivery of dog food and treats and gravy and all that. So
yeah.
That was a very interesting commercial. Oh, yeah, it was Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford, yeah.
Yeah, so he was the one in that commercial. So that one stuck out to me, especially kind of seeing how they used repetition. And that's one of the things we talk about a lot here is using repetition to stick in people's minds. And sometimes we even talk about sometimes being a little corny actually is a little bit memorable. So
speaking of corn, so the commercial that really stuck out to me was the Bud Light. They had a whole campaign of commercials, and part of that was them, advertising that they don't use corn syrup as opposed to Coors Light and Miller Lite and these other brands. But they're not they weren't attacking them in kind of that aggressive way. They were just kind of making a fun point about something that some people would take pretty seriously. So they had the one where they have the corn syrup, the giant barrel of corn syrup gets delivered to them, and they're like, this can't be ours, we don't use corn syrup, take it to the Coors Light castle. And it's all their whole theme was using that medieval time period, and then eventually in there, I don't remember which number commercial it was, but they tied that into a teaser for
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, the new season of Game of Thrones, and which I thought was pretty cool. And I actually, afterwards, what I was just looking at in there is, I was like looking at the commercials, and I didn't realize they've been using that campaign for a while. So they had something in August they released where it was the Bud Light Night from that commercial.
Oh,
and
right.
He was doing like football tryouts, and I look at.
So this has been a sort of ongoing.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that. And I look at the comments, and the first thing is there is like, the Super Bowl brought me here. So it was kind of like you're seeing that a lot of people looked it up afterwards.
Yeah, and they're
seeing.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So like one of the things that people were talking about is that I even heard it on the radio today. There's been this big buzz, especially on social media, where people didn't realize that all their favorite beers use corn syrup.
I didn't know. I was drinking a beer and I was like,
I didn't know this. So apparently the only one that doesn't, well, I guess of the big brands, is Bud Light.
Yeah.
So that was very interesting to learn. Another commercial that actually stuck out to me that one of the things I liked about that commercial is that the repetition. So it was humor, it was funny, but the way they did the repetition, and they had the king and they go through all these places, but the repetition really stuck in people's minds. So by the time you're done going through that commercial, you're like, what in the world? All these brands use corn syrup? That's pretty big.
Yeah, and again, it's like that's kind of a serious thing, but they're putting it in this funny, like, medieval kind of thing.
Context,
so it's like you're not really taking it that seriously, but
until you realize you don't want it, right?
Yeah.
So then another commercial that stuck out to me was another beer commercial. I mean, it's the Super Bowl, so there's a ton of beer commercials and things in the Super Bowl, but this commercial stuck out to me because they did something that was quite amazing, that was very, to me, and it's so simple, but works so well. And it's just being extremely different from everything else. So being extremely different from every other commercial on it. Now, like, it's Super Bowl. During the Super Bowl itself, you're hearing, guys crashing into each other, and all the noise and all the buzz, all the commotion. The place you are, your house or whatever, you're probably hearing a bunch of noise too.
People yelling, people cheering, people yelling.
Yeah, but then this one commercial, it is like so silent. It's so silent that it's really loud. Like that's how it is. And it's the Michelob. What is the brand?
Michelob
Ultra. Yeah, and it's with this. What's her name? Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah, Zoe Kravitz.
And she's a commercial. So if you haven't seen it, you should look it up. But essentially, the commercial, it's really silent, very, very naturistic. She's like in the middle of what looks like the Amazon mountains or something. And there are two mics. And I guess this practice is a really popular thing nowadays.
It's like an ASMR play on that kind of thing.
Yeah, but for someone who doesn't know anything about ASMR, I just was like, it stuck out to me when I was going through the commercials. Is the one commercial where this one person is talking really silent. There's big blocks of complete silence. And she's whispering into a mic. And she's going to the mic. And then she's like hitting her nails.
Yeah.
She's like hitting her nails onto like the bottle, and it's like, what in the world? So like you really tune in to what she's saying, which I thought was really brilliant.
And like I was saying before, I'm kind of like, not always paying attention all the time, but that was a commercial specifically that I didn't actually remember what it was for, but I remember hearing it and just being like, listening to it on surround sound and just stopping and being like, oh, what is this? I had to see what it was because it was, like Donvil said, it was so different from what you'd expect to hear.
So he just said something too that was really important. We won't make this a long video. We'll make it short for you guys. But he said something really key that is almost, that makes me feel too very good about what we do. Because one of the things that, and I'll make him finish it so you can know that this is literally what happens. I hope he does. But it's a lot of pressure here. But I always say that within the first couple seconds of a commercial, what needs to happen? Within the very first couple seconds, what needs to happen?
I mean, you have to engage. Yeah.
Well, he's he's there because that's one of the things I say. He's right on top of it, but it's always get their attention.
Get their attention.
Get their attention. So that what he said just now was he wasn't even looking at the commercial. He wasn't there, and in the sound of everything that is happening.
And that shows how important audio is too. Because
Yeah, super.
I wasn't looking, but once I heard it, it had my attention.
I always say, like, when someone hears the commercial, especially when you're dealing with, and we produce a lot of commercials, but I always want it, this is like a goal every time I look and I'm improving commercials, that when someone is in the other room and they're not paying attention, because just like you do, and I do it too, usually when commercials start playing, I find something else to do. If this commercial appeals to this person, it needs to get their attention so that they can pay attention. So the spot, that one was one where, you know, you're starting to look around, and we try to do this with our spots so that when someone hears it or someone went to the kitchen, they went to get food, or they hear something that makes them be like, what? Wait a minute, what am I missing? And that's really cool. So
yeah.
That was really brilliant. That was a really great way to really turn attention for people watching Super Bowl or in commercials. The silent commercial came on.
Yep.
So we want to know, what are your favorites, and what are some of the things that you observed? What are some of the things you thought? There were a ton of commercials and a bunch of them, so I'm sure there's a lot that we didn't talk about, but those are some of the ones that we brought up right away when we started talking about it. So thanks for watching another week.
Thanks for watching.
And we'll see you next week. Again, subscribe, VCast, Donvil Collins, everywhere you can find us. We want to connect with you and be friends with you. Come along with the ride with us, all right? So see you next week. Thanks for watching.